welcome to today's Colorado Conversation. We have some very special guests today from Children's Hospital Colorado, including one who is one of the bravest, brightest, smiliest little boys here in the state of Colorado. Can't wait to introduce you. He is a patient ambassador for the hospital, and he is on a mission. We're going to be hearing from Luke coming up, but first, to tell us more about the new class of patient ambassadors at Children's Hospital Colorado is my friend Jamie Bird. Katie, thanks so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
We have a really special guest today.
Yeah, I can't wait for you guys to meet him.
Yeah, before we get to his story, talk about the Patient Ambassador Program and just how important it is for Children's Hospital Colorado.
Yeah, so Children's Hospital Colorado is a nonprofit hospital, so we rely on philanthropic support to keep our doors open and to fund things like research, our child life program, our medical dog program, all sorts of things. So to do that, at the foundation, we raise money for the hospital, and our patient ambassadors really help us do that. So our patient ambassadors really reflect our community of patients from different backgrounds, different geographical locations where they live, different diagnoses, kind of you name it. And these kids and their parents go out in the community and they share their stories on behalf of the hospital, and they inspire donors to give and really show the impact that philanthropy can make on the hospital and why it's so important.
These kids have incredible stories, and they've overcome tremendous odds, been through more setbacks and surgeries than more people can say they've ever experienced their entire life. And yet here they are, showing up with smiles on their faces. They're just like these little kids. It's really remarkable. And we have 30 new ambassadors this year, right?
Yeah, 30-ish. I think about 27.
Okay.
But yeah, it's amazing. These kids have been through more than a lot of adults have been through, and they are out on the other side, and they're sharing their story. And you know, some of them have been in the hospital for months at a time, and they come to our fundraising events, and they put on a smiley face, and they talk about the hospital and their experience, and that's, you know, the good and the bad, because being in the hospital is not fun. But if you're at Children's, at least you're getting the best care that is available in the region. So, yeah, they're just, I'm in awe every single day. I have the best job, I think, in the world. So,
no kidding. And there are, how many years has the program been around, the ambassador program?
It's been around for about 30 years.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, and so our ambassadors are nominated by caregivers and the community every 2 years. And so they're nominated because they're, I mean, you'll meet Luke in a second. They're just incredible kids. They have been through a ton medically, but also are just amazing kids. I mean, they just can share their story. They have all these incredible interests that they're able to do because of the care they received at the hospital. Yeah, and so we went from a program where the kids would serve 1 year as an ambassador. Now they do 2-year terms. So that really allows us to really get to know them and work with these families.
And for the community to get to know them, because I know that they're often at some of the events held put on by Children's and the Foundation. And the more you see these kids, the more you're just like, I mean, I don't know how you don't meet one of these kids and be completely moved. They're like the best of humanity. Right? Have overcome these incredible odds and are just so happy and full of life at a time where it was questionable whether, you know, for a lot of these kids they would make it. Right?
And it's really awesome because like, you know, we might say a story giving a bunch of stats and things like that, but a kid sharing their own story of how they what they have been through and where they are now in a family is just so much more meaningful, because you can really see for our donors where their money is, you know, going to help kids like this. So Luke had a great interaction with one of our medical dogs when he was in the hospital a couple years ago, and he got to see the same medical dog, like, I don't know, 6 months ago when he did his photo shoot. So being able to even see Luke then versus now is just, I mean, we all know kids grow super fast, but just also when they're dealing with a big medical issue, and then on the other side now going to travel the world, you know, or do all these camps and stuff. It's just really rewarding to see.
Yeah, we've been talking about Luke for, I feel like, a year now.
Yeah.
And you told me about Luke, and I was like, I have to meet Luke. We have to share his story. He's a really special little boy.
Yeah. Luke is, I feel like he has a contagious smile.
That is true.
Yeah. He just got his braces off a while ago, too.
I can see us working over there.
But yeah, Luke is just spunky. He's amazing. I feel like we should all get his autograph now because he's probably going to be really famous in probably like 2 years. I mean, I would say like 10, but I feel like it's going to be sooner than that. So, yeah, he's incredible. So we're really lucky to be able to work with him and his family.
Well, I'm so appreciative for you bringing him in. And before we take a quick break, one more thing about just how important the fundraising efforts are for these kids and really where it's going towards.
Yeah, so each of our ambassadors get to fundraise for the area of their choosing within the hospital. So across the board, every ambassador has a different area. So kids who maybe were treated in our Center for Cancers and Blood Disorders fundraise for that. Some kids fundraise for the medical dog program, orthopedic surgery, kind of you name it. That's also really special about the program because these families have been through so much at the hospital, and they're also raising money for us, which is just really remarkable. And that's on top of doing events and, sharing their story with the community. So it's just, I feel like the future is very bright whenever I get to meet all of these kids because they're just so inspiring.
I completely agree with that. Jamie, thanks so much for being here. We'll catch up with you here in a little bit, but without further ado, we're going to introduce you to Luke and his dad, Nick, and hear more about their story and the impact they're trying to make. We'll be right back. Hey there, welcome back into today's Colorado Conversation. The time has come to meet Luke. He is a patient ambassador with Children's Hospital Colorado and has quite the incredible story. I'm joined now by Luke and his dad, Nick. Thanks so much for being here, you two.
Yeah.
I'm so happy to have you.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us.
You know, you're a bit of a rock star around here, I've been hearing. Let's talk about your journey a little bit.
Yeah, so 3 years ago, when I was 6 years old, one night I just wasn't feeling well.
Okay.
And had a perfect school day, but just one night I just wasn't feeling well. So I went to Children's Colorado and they did a CT scan and they found a lymphatic malformation the size of a football in my stomach.
Oh my gosh. That's scary.
Yeah.
How are you doing now?
Much better.
Yeah? You're doing much better. So
Yeah.
how did they treat that?
They put a little drain in it and they drained it to the size. Now it's an acorn.
An acorn, okay.
Yeah.
And now you're just sort of in a maintenance phase, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and you're feeling good?
Mm-hmm.
And you're doing all the things that you love to do, which is?
Acting.
You love to act?
Yes.
I hear that you have a big dream.
Yes.
What is it that you want to do?
To become a Disney Channel star.
I mean, look at this kid. I think that he could do it. You know, thank you for sharing your story with us. And Dad, Nick, talk a little bit about, this is something that was extremely rare. You know, as a parent, he's complaining of some pain, and talk about it from your perspective, what happened.
Yeah, so Luke came to us one day and just said he was having a bellyache. Really didn't think anything different. But to his credit, just didn't get better after a visit to the doctor, and then had to go in and go to the ER. It was actually Easter weekend, believe it or not. So went and had our first CT scan at Children's, and that's when they first diagnosed the lymphatic malformation. And I still remember sitting in that ER and really not knowing what was going on or how they treat it. And so thankfully with the staff and care that we received there, Luke is on with his journey.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like a pediatric cancer. This is just this very rare abnormality. And you're a doctor yourself. You also practice out of Children's sometimes,
I do,
correct?
yeah. So I'm a community provider.
Okay.
I'm an oral and maxillofacial surgeon, so we do take some of our patients there.
Yeah. So you're wearing two hats. The
Two
doctor
hats.
hat, the dad hat, which, as you said, the latter is a lot harder.
The dad hat is much harder in this situation for sure, because now you're going for your own child.
Yeah.
It did give us a unique perspective to see kind of how the system works to take care of these tremendous little kids, and just grateful for all the staff and physicians that we saw.
For such a scary
for
ordeal,
sure.
it sounded like it was a pretty quick surgery, a treatment, and then the road to recovery looked like what for you, Luke? How quickly were you feeling better?
That day.
That day.
That day.
Okay, because we had talked about off camera a little bit that the eating thing was sort of a problem. You weren't sure if a lot of kids, if you're a parent, you know, when they're younger, they're picky eaters. But for him, it wasn't something like that. It was something actually much larger going on.
Something larger. I mean, yeah. To Luke's credit, we tried a lot of different things to encourage him to eat.
A lot.
Yeah, and you just were like, Dad, I'm not hungry.
Not
Yeah.
hungry.
Yeah.
So apparently, this thing was positioned in a place that would push on the stomach, simulating that he's full. And you know, we don't have to take a CT scan on a normal, healthy 6-year-old boy until it became emergent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, we often talk about how wonderful it is to have Children's Hospital Colorado in our community in terms of the level of care and their ability to care so many different things. I know that this is one of 2 hospitals in the country that has a dedicated clinic for this vascular anomaly, right? So he was able to get treated right at home.
Right at home. You know, you think about all the families that do travel
from
from multiple states to come here to receive care, but thankfully, Dr. Nakano and his team of pediatric surgery, hematology, all the various groups were phenomenal in helping Luke understand what it was and what was needed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what about your experience? I know that you became friends with Galaxy.
Yeah.
Who's Galaxy?
Yeah, so actually, my aunt's best friend from high school is actually the handler for Galaxy.
Okay.
And my dad's like, you know, they have medical dogs here.
Where? Let me pet him.
Where?
Was it a golden retriever? Was
Golden
it a
retriever, yes.
so cute? So you guys became buddies, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And what is your message to other kids that have to undergo treatment at a time where it can be kind of scary, you know, to go to the hospital? And
Yeah.
I mean, look at you. You're amazing and healthy and, you know, living out your dreams now. What is your message to other kiddos?
I just think if you put your mind to something, you can always do it.
Yeah.
Like if you say you're gonna get better, you'll always get better.
Yeah. I love that. And Children's Hospital Colorado is not a scary place.
Yeah, no, it's not.
The doctors and nurses, super nice.
Yes, super nice.
Yeah, and obviously Galaxies, almost as cute as you are. Well, when we come back, I want to talk about your fundraising mission. I know that you've surpassed 50% of your goal, but I want to talk about, when we come after the break, what you're raising money for and why it's so important to you.
Yeah.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to take a quick break and we're going to be right back. Welcome back into today's Colorado Conversation. I have an amazing patient ambassador here from Children's Hospital Colorado who is living out his dreams, which we love to share. And I'm also joined by Jamie Berg-Katie, also with the hospital system. Thanks so much for you guys being here.
Yeah.
I love talking about this. And you are a rock star. I know that you are raising money for Children's Hospital Colorado to help other kiddos that have also been through a challenging time like you have, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, talk about why that's so important to you.
Because I always want to be fair to others. Like, I want kids to get the same care I got. Because I got really good care, and I hope they could do the same for other kids.
Yeah, and I'm sure that you've met a lot of kids at the hospital during your time there, yeah? I feel like you are an inspiration to them. What do you tell them when you see them?
I say, why are you in the hospital? And they respond, and it's always really sad for me because I remember when I was in the hospital and I was really scared, and I just say, I think you're gonna get better because I did.
Yeah. Oh, I love that so much. And this, Jamie, is exactly why he's a patient ambassador. Like you and I both just got a little teary. Like, listen,
I know. I'm looking at Dad.
You know, we're parents. We're parents, and to be able to see like such a well-spoken, like boy who's just so full of life, you know, and that's what Children's Hospital helps these kids do during what's an obstacle they should never have to overcome, yet here we are. The patient ambassador program is really important to the hospital.
Yeah, you know, I think just kids like Luke sharing their story, and it's not just an inspiration for the community and inspiring for donors, but also the kids that are in the hospital right now. To be able to see someone on the other side going to acting camp and doing all these cool things is really, really exciting to see. So.
And that's what you're doing. You're going to acting camp. You're going on a big summer trip this summer, right? Where are you going?
Europe.
Yeah, you excited?
Yeah, I'm so excited.
Yeah. for a couple of weeks. I'm like, can I hop in your suitcase? No, it's so exciting to see what the plans are following. I mean, 3 years ago, that you were diagnosed,
Yeah.
right, and had treatment pretty quickly, and now you like to eat a full meal of food. What's your favorite food?
Pasta.
Well, I'm right there. Europe's going to be great for you then, especially if you're going to Italy at any point.
We were actually going to go to Costa Rica like a month after I was diagnosed,
Okay.
but the doctor said don't risk it.
Okay,
So
yeah.
I was really sad because we were going over my birthday week.
Oh, well, you just had a birthday too, right?
Yeah.
June 1st?
Yeah, June 1st.
10 years old? Mm-hmm. How amazing, like to hit such a big milestone, and now you get to make up for that lost Costa Rica trip,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, I mean, this is what it's all about, right, Jamie? Yeah. And let's talk about the fundraising goal. So what is your fundraising goal for the 2 years that you're a patient ambassador with the hospital?
To fundraise money to help kids get the same care I got.
Yeah, and so your goal is $4,000? Is that the goal?
Yeah, 4,000.
Something like that? And I
Yes,
think that you've
something like
raised
that.
$2,309 to be exact, I think, right?
Yeah.
So we're working, you still have another, year to hit that
Yeah.
goal? Okay, so how can people help out Luke and the other patient ambassadors, Jamie?
Yeah, so each of our ambassadors, they fundraise for their own area. So to find Luke, you can go to supportchildrenscolorado.org and just navigate on the search bar, and you'll find our ambassadors, and you'll see all of them and all their stories, and
Yeah.
you can click on their page and see what they're fundraising for
Yeah.
and donate. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
the money really makes a difference, and it's really cool that Luke is fundraising for the medical dogs right now. So all the money he's raising right now will go to our medical dog program and keep that program going, and that's something that's not covered by insurance. So it's really important for our hospital to have those programs just to make getting care so much easier for kids.
Well, and that's important to you, Luke, because Galaxy was a big part of helping you through a hard
Yeah.
time, right?
Yeah.
So how would you feel when you'd see Galaxy, walking into your room?
Yeah, I as soon as I saw Galaxy walk into the room, I was just like, I'm better.
Better, let me pet this dog.
Yeah.
Right? So this pup was there for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, along with the doctors and the nurses. But there's something really special about sort of pet therapy. I mean, there's been a lot of studies on how beneficial these medical dogs are and interest in therapy, whether you're at home or through service dogs. But for these kids, I mean, seeing something that's so sweet that comes in and makes them, smile every little bit goes a long way.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
call them our MDs, our medical dogs.
Yeah, they are. They are. So that's what you're raising money for. And again, to the kids that are going through a hard time, what do you say to them? You got this, right?
You can always get better.
Yeah? Be brave.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Be brave, be bold, you got this.
You got this. Well, I think that's a good message, for everybody. And again, Katie, or Jamie, where can we find more information on Children's Hospital just in general and also the patient ambassador program?
Yeah, supportchildrenscolorado.org. That's the foundation's website. It talks about what we fundraise for, how philanthropy really impacts the hospital. So you can find everything there.
Yeah, because again, there's more than 25 of these amazing kids like Luke. Luke is just one, and there's so many different areas of focus that they're raising money for. So not that it's going to be hard to choose, because we obviously have the obvious choice right here, but there are many different areas. So whatever speaks to your heart is something that I know that they would really appreciate. So again, thanks so much for being here.
Yeah, of course.
Any final words?
No, not really.
No? Okay. Have a great trip. Enjoy your
Thank
trip
you.
to Europe. Thanks so
Thank
much
you.
for sharing.
Yeah, of
and for
course.
doing what you're doing. You're very brave and you're very inspiring. And I'm so glad to know you.
Yeah.
Jamie, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having us.
Again, we're going to have more information on how you can support Luke and his mission, also how you can help the Patient Ambassador program at Children's Hospital Colorado, linked right under this video. But again, thanks so much for being here for this edition of Colorado Conversations. We will see you next time.